Doing well to get himself into P12 at the moment. Oh, there's some sort of issue at the rear. Oh, God. I have no idea what that is.
You're increasing the gap on the car behind by 0.5 per lap.
Sure about that, Chief, because he's just come past it. What's going on, guys? My name is Martinio and welcome back to F1 2019 Season 1 Round 2 of our Career Mode series. And this time out we are heading to the Sakir Bahrain circuit for Round 2 of the season. And yeah, last time out we had an okay start to the season in Australia. It could have been a little bit better. We were so close to getting into the points. But unfortunately it wasn't to be. But it does bode well going forward into round 2. But before we went into round 2, we attended an invitational event at Silverstone. We were driving the McLaren MP423, the car Lewis Hamilton won his 2008 World Championship in. And yeah, it was a fun event, and we were going up against our teammates in a checkpoint challenge. So basically get as far as you can in the allotted time, and every checkpoint you get a little bit of time back. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a really fun car to drive. And come the end of it, we got very, very close to Kimi Raikkonen, very close, like 0.04 of a kilometre was the gap between us, and we were just beaten, so a little bit disappointed, but nonetheless it was a really fun car to drive and a really fun event to attend. But yeah, so before we jump into the episode proper, let's just take a look at the weather reports, and as you would imagine with Bahrain, no chance of rain, a little bit overcast in qualifying and towards the back end of the race, but mostly it's just going to be fine, dry conditions throughout, so there we go. But yeah, so let's kick things off properly, as we always do, by seeing how we got on in practice. So, on to practice, and honestly, round here it was quite tricky to get through the practice programs. As you can see, FP1 and FP3 take place in sort of daytime conditions, so with the tyre degradation being a big issue around here, it was somewhat tricky to get through some of our practice simulations, but the main one we struggled with was the fuel management, which we're on now and seeing, and also the quali simulations as well, so that can have a decent bearing on where we're going to be starting in the race. But regardless, we did manage to get a good haul of resource points, 305 out of the 325 available, so we're going to look to spend them at the end of this round. And our best practice performance came in FP2. That's when we did our qualifying sim, so even though we didn't get top marks, it was good enough to put us in P7, so that could bode well for what we're about to head into in a moment. But yeah, so we're going to look at qualifying in a second. It's going to be a tricky one, it's going to be a tough one, so let's head down there now and see what we can do. So, on to qualifying, and the big aim for this one was to, you know, potentially get ourselves in the mix for that Q3 one, but of course first we had to get ourselves out of Q1, and our first and only run in this particular session was good enough to put us in P12 with a 132.929, and we were joined in Q2 by our teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who managed to just ever so slightly, by about half a tenth of a second, get ahead of George Russell and into Q2 there, so it's good that we got both of the Alphas into Q2 for the first time this season. And on to Q2, and we actually managed to go a little bit better. Maybe it was the fact that the track temperatures were coming down a bit as we moved further into the night, but it was getting easier to sort of keep the tyres in the optimal range and go a little bit faster and push a little bit harder with these tyres. And the lap we put up was a 132.677, which was a good 0.3 faster than the last one, and as you can see, it was good enough to put us into Q3. So for the first time this season, we are going to, well, I suppose you could say, contest pole position, even though we're not going to get anywhere close to it, but it's good we got into Q3. It's going to give us a good starting point for the race, hopefully. But yeah, so into Q3 now. And again, it was pretty good. The lap wasn't as good as our run in Q2. I did only do one lap, and I did it right at the end of qualifying. So you know the track temperatures were at their lowest, and we got as much rubber on the track as possible to hopefully give us a bit of an advantage. But it was a 132.937 which we put up there, and that was good enough when all things were said and done to put us into P9. We were a good 0.5 of a second off Nico Hülkenberg in 8th place. But looking at the top end of the field, you got Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc locking out the front row in the Ferraris, followed by Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, can only manage 4th. Pierre Gasly out qualifies Max Verstappen, and Danny Ricciardo splits the Red Bulls as well. So this is going to be a really interesting race, I think. And like I said, considering we showed really good pace in the race in Australia, and our race sims in practice for this one have been really good. I think we've got a really good opportunity of not only maintaining P9 but potentially getting a little bit further up. Obviously, we've got that clause in our contract which says we need to score 5 World Championship points in the first 2 rounds. We didn't score any in the first one, where we arguably should have done, but we've got a good opportunity here. But it's still going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a tough one. Like I said, this race is really hard on tyres, so that's where we're going to find I think most of the battles. And also fuel as well is going to be a consideration to take into account also. But I'm fairly confident going into this race that we can get some points on the board. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a very tricky race. Obviously we're going to have guys fighting all the way around us, and we've got guys behind us who are probably going to have a more optimal strategy, maybe going for a one stop and so on and so forth. But yeah, so let's head down to the grid now and see what we're going to do on strategy.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain.
Let's go out there and push for at least 18th place.
Okay then guys, so here we are on the grid in Sakir, Bahrain, just ahead of the start of the race, and apparently our race engineer doesn't have a whole lot of faith in us. He's telling us, we're starting P9, and he's telling us we have to push for P18. Woohoo! So, yeah, I mean, it is going to be a tricky one. The tyre degradation around here is really high, so managing tyres is where the fight's going to be. Hopefully we can maybe move a little bit up the grid, or at the very least maintain P9 and get some points on the board. But the real fight is going to be trying to keep the tyres in and make sure we're not absolutely destroying them early in the stints, because otherwise we're just going to be absolutely nowhere. In terms of the strategy, there's 2 options. The 3-stop, it doesn't make any sense at all, because it's near as makes no difference, 20 seconds slower. So we're going to go for the 2-stopper. The first stint's going to be difficult because we've had a fair amount of load through these red mark soft tyres already. These are the tyres obviously that we put in our Q2 lap in to get us into Q3. So they had a fair amount of load through them already. So it's going to be a tricky one. But after that point, I'm confident we'll be okay, because our race sims were pretty good on the yellow mark medium tyres for this weekend. So I'm confident if we can get through those first 6 laps and keep those tyres in and get to that pit stop, I think we've got a good chance of getting some points in this race today. But it's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a tough one, purely because, like I said, the tyre degradation is so high. So that's the battle. Tyres is the battle today. So, yeah. So we're just about ready to kick things off, though. So I'm going to go and do our parade lap and get everything warmed up and nice and toasty, ready to go. And I'll be back with you when we're ready to go racing. Okay then, guys. Here we go. We're getting contact. Oh, we got a great run out of there, though. I'm just going to escort Hulkenberg to the outside of the track. So we're up to P8 now, just behind Dan and Ricardo. They're like such a tricky corner. Problems with it all weekend long.
Okay, that's a good start. Keep it up.
Right then, so let's see if we can't get ourselves up with Ricardo. We've had a good first lap. So now we've just got to settle down and get to our first pit stop.
Okay, copy that.
Well, the rough one said bring me in at the end of the next lap, but honestly the tyres feel okay at the moment. And we are starting to catch Ricardo a little bit.
Green flag.
A little bit of oversteer on the exit.
Professional butler, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
So Devon Butler's out of the race, but ours is very much continuing. Oh, can't even get it slowed down. Oh, that's going to tank our in lap. Oh, it's just such a tricky corner.
Pit in this lap, and remember the speed limit. We'll be penalised if we exceed it. Keep that in mind as you approach.
Okay entry. Now we've got to get a good stop.
Go now.
2.6. Not brilliant, but we'll take it.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our strategy.
So given we're in before everybody else, let's see if we can't undercut them. And maybe get back up to the rear wing of Danny Ricciardo after the pit stop shakeout. Oh, and there's Danny Ricciardo. No DRS. And he's got a pair of super softs on, so is Ricciardo going to be 3-stopping? I don't hold out much hope of keeping up with him at this point, but maybe a little bit further down the line in 3 or 4 laps when they start to give up on him a little bit, we might be right back in this. So Ricciardo's pulled away a little bit as Bottas sets the fastest lap of the race so far. And now Kimi's in the pits.
Kimmy in the pits.
So I think he might be trying to do a 1-stop up, which might put him right with us pretty much when the pit stop shake out at the end of the race, because we've got another one to make, of course. But yeah, I'm still waiting for Ricciardo's tyres to drop off a little bit for him to potentially come back to us a little bit, but we're not far off from our second pit stop. Coming at the end of lap number 17, I think. So Ricardo's just ducked into the pits.
We're boxing this lap.
And we're also on our end lap, so we're going to have to push. Perfect. Absolutely on the button for that one. Right, now we've got to be on the button for the pit stop.
Exit now.
2.7, not a great one. I don't think it was my doing, to be honest with you, but
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
so we're just ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. He came in the same lap we did. I did see that Renault mechanics out. I assume it'd be for him, as his teammate picked the lap before, but we're in good shape right now. So we've been reeling in Albon for the last couple of laps, and now we're getting DRS. Should make easy work of him. Now we've got our teammate ahead of us. Fighting with the Williams. I'm fairly certain both these cars ahead are going to be on the hard tyre. So we should definitely have a performance advantage.
Okay, good work. Great pass.
And we're up into P14 now. I'm not going to pass him down to here. Because I want the DRS. Which he's not getting, so he's going to be an absolute sitting duck. Now we're on to our old friend Lucas, who still owes us a favour after we let him through in Barcelona in our F2 season. He's doing well to get himself into P12 at the moment. Oh, there's some sort of issue at the rear. Oh, God. I have no idea what that is.
You're increasing the gap on the car behind by 0.5 per lap.
Sure about that, Chief, because he's just come past us. Well, that. The MFD popped up. I don't think we're getting DRS now. Not because we're not in range, just purely because it's not working.
Be aware we expect the grip levels.
Oh, I think the DRS has come back. The DRS is back. Yes. Right then. I've got 2 laps.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
I'm going to have to drive the wheel nuts off this thing. So it's going to come down to the last lap. Honestly, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. We're just not close enough. I'm going to a rich mix.
This is your final lap of the race.
I don't think we're going to do it.
We're not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target. Drop down to mix too soon.
Oh, we didn't get the DRS. Charles Leclerc wins the race. Oh, we're so close. Oh, so close. So there we have it then, guys. 12th place again, and what have we got to do to score a point? You know, the first route we made a couple of mistakes, and that was probably what cost us. But in this one, there was only one boo-boo, and that came at the you know, on our in lap for the first pit stop. But barring that, everything was going according to plan. It was smooth sailing, everything was going fine, and then we just had that DRS failure at the worst possible time. Any other time, it would have been okay, I reckon, but that was the worst possible time to have a DRS failure, because it meant that, you know, we were struggling to sort of get up to the back of our former F2 teammate Lucas Weber, or Weber, however they want to pronounce it. And yeah, it was just, like I said, what have we got to do to score a point? Everything went according to plan today. It was really disappointing. The pace was there, but like I said, it's just that failure really screwed the pooch, I guess you could say. Looking at the rest of the finishing order, though, Charles Leclerc beats out Sebastian Vettel by under 0.2 of a second to take his first win of the season and for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton comes in 3rd place there after a disappointing qualifying, along with Max Verstappen. We've got Valtteri Bottas in 5th, who picked up the extra point for the fastest lap. Sergio Perez was a big mover, going from 14th to 6th there on that one-stop strategy, getting ahead of Pierre Gasly. We've got Danny Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, and Romain Grosjean rounding out the points, with ourselves, of course, down there in a disappointing 12th position. Our teammate finished in 17th place, so again, his one-stop didn't work. Unfortunately, he went backwards in the race. So in terms of the driver standings, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are tied at the top of the table, with Sebastian Vettel just 3 points behind, and Valtteri Bottas a further 17 points back on the 3 of them as well. And in terms of the constructor standings, ourselves, Williams and Toro Rosso are the only ones not to score points yet, but Ferrari do take the lead in the constructors standings there, ahead of Mercedes-Benz. But yeah, so like I said, it was a really disappointing race, but the pace is definitely there, and I think with a few improvements, we won't be leaving it down to the last lap of the race to try and get something out of it, I think. So I said earlier in the episode that we were going to spend the resource points that we've got, and we've got a fair amount. We've got nearly 3,000, or just over 3,000 actually, resource points to spend. So we're going to make some improvements. So we're going to upgrade the front wing cascades on the aerodynamic side of things. We're also going to update the rear wing end planes as well. These will both take a couple of weeks to come through, so we're not going to have them for the next race in China, but Baku, we're definitely going to have some updates, and hopefully we can make a bit of a step forward. We're also going to improve the central under tray with regards to the chassis. We are going to have that update in time for the next race in China, so that'll be good and hopefully give us a little bit of extra performance as well. And I'm also going to make an update with regards to the durability as well, because that's going to be a big issue going through the season. If we can have more durable parts, that's going to help. So we're going to do general maintenance for this first one. 500 development resource points it's going to cost, and again, we will have those updates and improvements in time for the next race in China. But yeah, there we go, guys. That's pretty much the end of today's episode. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you would like to see more Formula 1 2019 or general racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that bell notification so you get updates for all of my new videos whenever they go live. Also drop a comment down below. Let me know how your careers are going. Have you had any annoying failures that have ruined your chance at points? Drop a comment down below, guys. Always happy to hear from you. But once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace!